If it's 2:30, I'm supposed to be in Italy? All right. How are we doing?
Good.
How are you doing?
Good. Okay.
I think I'm Bill Cottle. I'm producing and listening to audio podcasts from the iPad. We had a very interesting experience the last hour, and we won't even think about that one. I hope this goes smoothly. You guys learned a lot?
We did.
Okay.
Lots of hands-on, and that was very helpful. No, it was fine.
Good, good. So, just to kind of give my background, I didn't give anything out. So I want to hear what you guys know about podcasting, so that I know my audience. How many of you have created a podcast? Has anyone ever created a podcast? Sort of. Tell me about sort of.
Well, without any pictures or anything like that. We used GarageBand to create just the audio and then convert it to iTunes and then upload it to Blackboard. But no pictures.
Great. Well, podcasting, we'll talk about the definitions in a minute. Podcasting does not need to have video. Actually, that's called a podcast. So, or can be. You can call them whatever you want. And as we get into looking on YouTube for some of the research that you'll do to find resources that you might use, and I guess I'm supposed to stand by this mic, aren't I? Because they're recording it. You will find that a lot of what's out there for other universities is video. They're podcasts, but they're called podcasts. Okay, well, that's great, because I know this much more than most of you. How many of you listened to the podcast that I created for you last night? Nobody listened to it. I worked so hard. But it's okay. It's only 1 minute and 20 seconds. You can get it later. Don't do it now. All right. Oh, this is cool. I like it. If you don't know about Keynote, please don't disconnect. I can see the slide that's coming up next. And it didn't do that for me in the other room. So apparently it has sensed that that HDMI cord is out of there. Come on, please. We got duct tape. All right. So our learning objectives for this session are, we're going to discuss the subscription model of podcasting. Is that new to everybody? Is that term totally new? Okay. We're going to talk about developing 3 scripts. Now, I don't expect you to write 3 scripts, but I'd like you to be thinking of 3 topics that you might find from all that you've heard today would be appropriate for a podcast. Then we are going to show you how to record and edit a podcast using Pocket Wave. How many have loaded Pocket Wave? You should have loaded everything. We found some last session that hadn't actually downloaded all those that we gave to you. Pocket Wave is free. So we'll show you what the icon looks like in a minute. And then another learning objective is to compare and contrast 3 ways to share podcasts with students. So let's just get to the chase on that learning objective. There are 3 ways to share your podcasts with students. But I don't forget to tell you, who can name one? Guess one way you could send a podcast to your students.
Blackboard.
Blackboard's number 1.
iTunes U.
iTunes U is another one. And it's really intuitive on this application because you can email it. And Blackboard, of course, we can put things in Blackboard and accomplish those objectives. So, and then we want you to list 2 active learning strategies for your class. And again, I had somebody ask the other day, how can we keep learning objectives and active objectives and cognitive and didactic, and because this is an institute. Okay? So what is podcasting? By definition, who wants to give me a definition of podcasting? Don't be bashful. No wrong answers. Just spit something out.
You share your expertise over a podcast.
Okay? Sharing our expertise, our subject matter expertise.
It's producing a series of audio clips or whatever.
And we were talking about,
Same place.
it doesn't have to be with video. Audio is cool. And that all that you got from me was a 1 and 20 second welcome. And it was just audio. Okay. Basically, how many of you watch television? How many of you watch Seinfeld. Okay, Seinfeld has how many episodes? Hundreds. How many years did that thing run? Okay, so a podcast can be, and I guess I'm getting ahead of myself here. First what I wanted to do is, let's jump out here, and one of the things that you can contemplate doing, depending on the subject that you teach, this might be good for modern languages, is to have your students create their own podcast. And so here are some students who are telling us what they believe podcast is. So this is a student assignment, I'm sure, done in 2009.
An Introduction to Podcasting, created by Nicole Onko, Monica Sheska, and Mrs. Stratton. We are living in an age of technology. Every moment, each of us are surrounded by new forms of this technology, yet sometimes we don't realize some of the power that we have. One of those powers is called podcasting. Think back to the days without internet. Families huddled around TVs and radios in order to catch their favorite programs at the specific time of their showing. If the president was speaking at 6 p.m., then that means 6 o'clock. No different. Have you ever dreamed of being a musician? Well, decades ago you needed a lot of connections, or a fortune to get heard. But now there's a new way to solve this, called podcasting. Whether it be a comedy show or historical blog, podcasts can be captured and saved for anyone to listen to at any time. Podcasts are audio and video files that can be directly sent to your computer or personal device. Unlike normal news shows that you have to tune into at a certain time, you just have to download podcasts. There are two commonly used ways to implement podcasting: creating one yourself or subscribing to others found on the internet. The majority of society is part of the group who listens to them. For example, Carl was just told about podcasting from his wife, Carly, and how it would give him something to always listen to on the train to work. But his first question is, how do podcasts work? Podcasts can be found on iTunes and thousands of other websites. To have a podcast begin sending to your podcatcher, usually iTunes, you must press the subscribe button found at the top of most podcast websites. Once you subscribe, any new episode or blog of this podcast will automatically send to Carl's music and podcast library. So Carl can subscribe to his favorite cooking show blog at night and wake up the next morning with a new episode for his transit to work. The other portion of society are the ones that actually create podcasts. Although this may seem like a difficult task, podcasting is quite easy. All you need is a microphone, video camera, and connection to the internet. No satellite radio tower is needed. With these three simple tools, a common person can create a show from their house and have it broadcast to the whole world. For this reason, almost any hobby or topic of interest can be found in podcast form. Whether it be cooking, a gardening show, sports, talk shows, and even music, everyone is bound to find a podcast perfect for them. The most popular categories are art, politics, education, hobbies, and comedy. Some popular podcasts include Discover Spanish, a Family Guy podcast, SAT, ACT, GRE test prep vocabulary, and Penguin Books podcast. So get on your computer, start searching, and begin to enter the world of podcasting.
So Nicole said I needed a microphone and a headset, so I'm ready. Is she right?
No.
No. With our nifty little iPads, we don't need that. So they gave us a good definition. They did a vodcast or video because they, and didn't you think it was cute the way they got their graphics in there, and you know, Carly and Carl, and you know, they probably got a name for that assignment. Did you pick up on the fact that they're delivered via the internet and they can be received in any of a number of different ways? MP3 players, iTouches, iPads, cell phones now, smartphones. The thing that makes it, by definition, a podcast is that the subscriber chooses. It's just like Seinfeld. It was every, whatever it was, Thursday night at 7 o'clock. and you choose to be there. Well, the nice thing is, with subscription, and that's one of the things that we want you to understand and we're going to talk about, a person can time shift and listen to it anytime they want. If they subscribe, it's kind of like TiVo. If you subscribe to a series that's going to be broadcast on a regular basis, then you can go to it when you want to, and it'll feed it to you automatically. So again, I already started to talk a little bit about a podcast being a series of files or episodes. Some people refer to a podcast as a single item. So it kind of, it's easy to get those terms that they're used both ways. Podcast can mean a single file or it can mean multiple files. But typically we use the term episode to refer to a single file of a podcast. When should you use a podcast? Well, when a particular kind of audio or video content will be updated on a regular basis. And we don't want to necessarily be creating a podcast series for my announcement to my class at the beginning of the semester. Now, that is a podcast, and it certainly is a viable way of using this technology. But one way to consider it is to consider that you're going to do like Latana did. Hers were done with lecture capture, but that was a series that went all semester long. Okay? One of the things that the article, and I gave you, I put an uplink at 4 o'clock this morning because I didn't want you to all be overwhelmed with homework, and obviously you weren't really too concerned about it. But there is an article, and much of the notes that I'm taking for this quick presentation comes from, and it's really current information, June of 2007. But it's got some good information, some basic background, and it's called Podcasting. It was done by Carnegie Mellon. And it's teaching with technology white paper called Podcasting. So that's in your Dropbox, and you can go to that. And so that's where a lot of the content for these came from. But again, we're thinking of something like a mortgage or a utility payment would be something that would be an ongoing thing. A one-shot deal of going to the store to get your kids clothes for school would not be in that genre of a podcast. Okay, what are some of the things that we want to consider as we design and consider designing our podcast for our particular class? First of all, what are the learning objectives? You heard that before? And secondly, identifying what activities will help the student to meet the learning objectives. Do you suppose those 3 young ladies learned a lot about podcasting when they created that video? Absolutely. Best way to learn. And finally, whether and how the podcast can facilitate those activities. So again, if it's not a meaningful podcast, why do it? So, and I'm going to get myself all out of order here with these things. This next one is easy to say, let's just not even consider it being cool and easy. Because yes, it can be just in time. One of the things you've heard us say about the mobile devices are that they're with you at the soccer game or they're wherever you happen to be when you've got, quote, downtime. And if you needed to, if you were working on your language class and somebody was having a real problem with pronunciation of a specific conjugation for a verb or whatever, you could actually sit there at the beach with this device. You don't have to be connected to the internet because you then record it to the device, and when you get back home, you can send it off. So the nice thing about the device is that we have that instant availability. So this article goes into a lot of the concerns over whether students are going to benefit or not, and I'm actually going to skip some of these because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for hands-on. And so if you want to pick up on any more of these, well, I'll let you just go through and read the article that I gave to you. Basically, we're finding that this was 2007. They were saying that students mostly were listening to their podcasts on their computers. What we found was that, as many of you already commented during the workshop, students are on wired all the time. So, this notion that they're going to only do it at home when they've got a mobile device. Other than the fact what Sheldon said was that they do like to go back and they can pick up on a section of content that they didn't understand. And so, they may turn it on their computer, go get a cup of coffee or a bowl of popcorn or whatever, and be able to listen to it. Again, the rationale for using it for weather conditions, Sheldon had a good example of that. And the aha moment was that he didn't realize that it was going to turn into something that would become the future way he would deliver his lectures. Okay, an example of non-lecture uses of podcasting, previewing upcoming lectures. One of the things that I think is a good example is, let's say that I've got content that I have to teach to my students, and it's basic to understanding what we're going to do for this whole module, but it's not really easy for them to understand yet. It's maybe a series of steps or something like, for example, a pre-lab demonstration of how to use a Bunsen burner. I mean, that's a classic example we always use. But you know what? You don't want to burn the chemistry lab down, do you? So let's show them how to do it on the video and let them look at it at home, and then when they come in, hopefully they'll do it right. Okay? And again, you could do it just as a quick summary for key points. Maybe you've observed from the frequent low state tests that you've been giving for the last 2 or 3 weeks on this unit that they're missing some points, and there is an exam coming up, and they would be grateful for you to just put together something really quick that covers those points that they're not understanding. Okay, example of a non-lecture uses for podcasting. Provide many lectures to be listened to before class. That's what I tried to do with you. It frees up class time so I don't have to talk to you about what I gave you for that minute and 20 seconds. Does it stimulate discussion? It can. It should have. It might have. I don't know. Another example would be working on more difficult cases. So again, establishing a case history, a case study for the students before they come to class so they can be processing on it. I mean, marking, I'll bet Doug Lincoln uses that kind of a strategy because it's something you can get the students thinking about before they actually come to class. Podcasts that walk students through the steps of an activity that they're actually going to do, that they're doing while they're listening. So in other words, it's something where by hearing it, they can be more effective at doing it because they're not having to try to read or figure some other way to get that content. Okay, we had an example here of student-produced podcast. Again, oral presentations. I mean, I don't know what that discipline was that those students did that for. It could have been a speech class. You know, you have to give a demonstration and tell somebody how to do something. Technical competence in a medium that is closely related to your course goals. So there's lots of ways that you could have students engage in the production of a podcast if you choose to do so. Okay, let's talk briefly about the different formats. So we have audio. What I sent you to listen to was just audio. An enhanced audio might be where you've added some sort of soundtrack, a little bit of music or sound effects, or depends on what the nature of it is. And those of us who were in the last session, we saw how quick it is in explaining everything. You know, it was iMovie where we threw in the music, wasn't it? So it can be pretty straightforward with some of these technologies. Again, here were the statistics about the students and how many of them are listening to it on a computer. I think this is out-of-date information. Okay, so some of the things we need to be concerned about. Course and a half syndrome we talk about all the time with our eQuip instructors and online. Can you do the same thing with podcasts? Now, there was an article that I gave to you of a student at Stanford. Did anybody read that? Oh. Go read it. He has a bone to pick with Stanford.
Was that the flipping one?
Yeah. Did you get that? Okay. Okay, what was his gripe?
That the professor was kind of absent.
Yeah. And he's paying good money to go to Stanford. And then the real rip was that there were 94,000 other people that weren't paying.
Right.
And he's getting treated just like them. So, you know, be mindful of the student. Okay? Now, one of the things that I think is really important from what Mike said the other day, Mike Gibbons or Gibson? Gibson. When I did that 1 minute and 20 second recording for you, I typed it out. I had it on my computer, on my iPad, and I just read it and recorded it. Well now, since I have it transcribed, if somebody comes up to me and says, I need to be able to have another alternative way of getting access to that content, I don't have to go back and transcribe it. So again, if you're doing short, quick things, and if you work like I do, I work better if I compose my thoughts on paper, then consider that that's going to save you some time. Okay, I gave you the reference article that is called Podcasting, so I would encourage you, if you want to get some more of the detail of some of the things in 2007 that they thought were germane to the topic of podcasting. It's a quick read, and there's some good points in there. Probably help you as you kind of hone in on what kinds of things you'd like to do for your podcasts. Here's our assignment. Develop topics for 3 scripts for content related to your discipline. And you're going to be able to pull these down by going to, I always teach, never reinvent the wheel. If somebody else out there has done something, their ideas are as good as mine, sometimes better. And all I got to do is just kind of borrow them and then, say, oh, that doesn't quite fit for my class, but everything in there except the thus and such would be fine. I'm just going to put the thus and such in there for me. And you can actually, get a lot of great content and see how people solve similar problems by just doing some searches in iTunes U and on YouTube, and of course discussing things with, as you've been doing so well here in our institute. So one of the things you're going to work on is coming up with 3 content ideas as a result of this workshop. And now you're also going to record and edit a podcast, and you're going to include some editing. You're going to take out some unwanted content. I'm going to demonstrate all this to you. You don't have to get too concerned. This is going to be pretty straightforward. And then you're going to save it, and you're going to upload it or email it to yourself. I'm not going to go with the YouTube approach that we did last hour. I think I'll just tell you to email it to yourself, just in case things aren't working. And then finally, we're supposed to compare and contrast 3 different ways of sharing Pocket Wave with students. What are the answers? What are 3 of them? Or 4 of them? How are you going to share them? Blackboard, email, YouTube, iTunes U. And then as a result of what we do today, we want you to be able to at least list 2 active learning strategies for using this particular product in your class. Okay? So, let's go there for a moment. And this icon in the second row from the left, second column from the left, second row down, WavePad. Everybody open your WavePad. This is the hands-on part, so let's everybody open WavePad. Yours won't look like this. It probably is empty. Has anybody even tried to use it? Nick, what'd you find?
When?
When you tried to use it, was it?
It was easy.
Intuitive?
Yeah.
Yeah, really is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some tips, because you don't realize that there are many different types of audio files. Some are big and some are little. And the idea is you want it to be just like the 3 Bears, just right. So you don't want it too big, because then you got issues, especially if you record long lectures. And then the file size is pretty big, and it takes a while for things to move around and download. So you want to try to keep them pretty small. So first thing I want you to do is, if you look at the gears in the lower left-hand corner, I want you to open that up. And yours doesn't say what mine says. I want you to go into the settings under audio format. Just open that up. Yours probably says Wave. I want you to click on the MP3 and make it dark gray. And then if you don't get 4.1 sampling rate and 128 bit rate, I want you to select those. So what we're doing is we're setting your device up so that the recording quality that you're going to get for all of your recordings is optimized but not too large a file. So I'll give you a minute to do that and wander around.
Say it again, MP3, what was it?
MP3 is, well, it was up there in black. MP3, so the second one from the left and then the 2 on the right.
Did you hit edit to get those?
It'll stay that way. Once, well, when you do it, I tell you.
The little gear at the bottom left.
And then audio format?
Wave.
Yeah, okay, you must have hit the yeah, if you wind up, if you go to a web page, you hit the little information button in the lower right corner. Everybody there?
Oh, is that right?
Don't move any further than this, because it won't save it if you don't do it just right. Think you're all there? Okay, this is not real intuitive, folks, but if you do what I say, it'll work. In the upper left-hand corner is a back button. Hit the back button, and it should now say MP3 44.1 kilohertz and 128 kilobytes.
Yes.
Now you hit done.
Done.
And now you will be recording in that file size.
Where's the backwards done?
It's in the window you were just in the upper left-hand corner. Did you find it back? Here, I'll go in there again. It's not a big deal. Okay, so I hit audio format. I show, so I'll just change it. See now, MP3, 44, 128. Up here in the upper left-hand corner of that pop-out window is back. And then in the right side of that settings window is done. Okay? Now, if you look at Tech Talk 2, you see it's a WAV PCM file. It's 61 megabytes.
On his.
Right below that is not that one because I think I erased it, but I've converted it to 40 to an MP3, and it's only 3 megabytes. So you'll see a difference between like 61 megabytes and 3 megabytes by that setting we just did. Have I lost anybody? The idea is we're setting it for optimum sound, but minimum size. Especially if you recorded, these were just, Tech Talk was just something that was coming to me as a webinar over my computer at work that day, whatever day that was, on the 4th of May. And it was like, and that one was 24 minutes and 23 seconds. Okay? Pocket Wave Welcome down below is also, it's 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4. That one I did in the Wave, and it's 165 kilobits. But the one that I sent to you, edited Pocket Wave, second from the bottom, well, it didn't get much smaller, did it? 151. All right, so what we've taught you right now is proper file size. Now we're going to teach you how to record. Anybody want to guess how to record?
You push a red button.
The red button.
That's a good question.
And I'm going to actually demonstrate this with something that I wanted to...
Phil, we've got a question first.
Yes.
MP3s. As I always preface all my comments with, I'm exceedingly ignorant. But on my computer at home, it's happy to play MP3 files or
WAV files.
Or WAV, but one seems better. So MP3 seems to be a standard.
It's more universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that by using that, you're going to find that most students will have the ability to pull that down.
Okay.
So that's why we teach that.
And that'll play on an iPod.
It will play on an iPod, it will play on the iPad, it will play on YouTube, it will play in all of those locations. Kim?
What's the difference between MP3 and MP4?
I'm not a technical person, but that's just the next iteration of MP3. It's just a higher quality, and I think that's the direction they're moving. But does anybody know other than that? That's my best guess.
Because like when I use Audacity, was yours to use Audacity? Seems to be. I was just curious. I didn't know.
I think it's just moving in that direction. I have my little notes here I was going to use to record. What did I do with them? It doesn't really matter what, but I thought, well, I'm going to teach you something while I'm doing it. It got moved. By the way, these were the 2 articles you were supposed to have read.
Are those also in the flipped classroom?
They are all, if you go to this session, you'll find them attached in the drop. They're in the Dropbox and in the schedule. Okay, so we won't worry about that. I'll read you. I'll read you from this. Okay, so you can watch what I'm going to do now, and then in a few minutes we're going to have you do the same thing. So, where's the microphone on your device?
That's the top.
Okay, it's actually right here, on the side. It's just a little teeny. Your speakers, yeah, there it is. Depends on which.
Just right, your camera lens is right here, opposite the home button, and it's right on the end. Next to the
It's
camera.
really small.
Yeah, that little slit.
So, if you have it in a case, like, I'm not going to lift mine up because it seems that this thing is very sensitive to being unplugged. But I took mine out of that black case that you saw me using earlier. If you've got anything that's covering that, you might want to do your recordings outside of the case. That was just a little thing I stumbled on myself, wondering why the quality was for the audio was so good. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to record. I'm going to hit the red button, as you so aptly determined. And I get this little menu, and you see the video meter where it says recording. It's going back and forth. You see the duration is moving. So I am recording. And so now I'm going to show you how to record a podcast. Teachers from around the world have adopted the flipped classroom model and are using it to teach a variety of courses, okay? To teach a variety of courses to students of all ages. And I get this little menu, and you see the video meter. Yeah, let's go into where you can see actually the... So what I'm doing is the recent recording is on the bottom in blue. So I'm going to load that now. What I hit was play, and it was just giving me, I could hear it back. So now, this is what it looks like. And I'm going to hit the arrow that's for play next to the recording. And I get this little menu, and you see the video meter where it says recording. It's going back and forth. You see the duration is moving. So I am recording. And so now I'm going to show you how to record a podcast. Now, what's that space?
Silence.
Teachers from around the world have adopted the flip. Is that space important?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Because you could lose it if you want.
Well, I'm going to edit it, and I knew I was going to edit that. So I'm going to take this little bar that's right here, and I'm going to then drag it backwards, like so. And I'm going to go up here to edit.
Way cool.
And I'm going to hit cut. Right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3 things down. It's a white bar and it says cut. Can you all read that, right?
Yeah.
Right here. It's gone.
It's really...
Now I can hit play. Teachers from around the world have adopted the flipped classroom model and are using it to teach a variety of courses. Okay? To teach a variety of courses to students of all ages. So what am I going to do? Okay, but see, there's that little glitch there, so I'm going to actually touch it there. That looked pretty good to you? Okay. Oh, but you know what? I don't know where it starts. Let's go back up here and see if I can find that and make a note. Okay. A variety of courses. Okay. All right, so I found it. Have you found it?
Yep.
All right, so that's it. I don't know if this will stretch both directions. I don't think it will. No. That's all right. I can get rid of it in two passes. Okay, what am I going to get? Edit. Cut. Okay, now let's see what we got here. A variety of course okay. Okay, so now, by the way, it's not very easy because it's kind of, let's stretch that a little.
Right.
So this is what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. To teach a variety of courses to students of all. Okay. Okay. Now that I got so big, I got to go back further. And that just changed the scale. And are using it to teach a variety of courses. Okay. By the way, you see the window up on the top there? That shows you the zoomed in portion. Is that making sense? This right here is the window I'm looking at down here. Okay, so I'm going to move this right there. And I'm going to go back to, I'm not sure if that's it, so we're going to listen to that. Okay. Well, we know that's part of what I want to get rid of. Now, how important is it that I not make a mistake?
Relative.
I could always re-record it. It wasn't very long. And by the way, I am teaching you to edit not because I expect you to. I think Latana said I don't re-record these. I teach and make mistakes, but that's what this is all about, so I thought somebody's going to want to know how to do it, so we're going to show you. But anyway, absolutely, it's a lot of times easier just to start over, but I'm going to hit cut. And let's just go back up here and see how I did.
The course to teach a variety of courses to
I
students
still got
of all
slides here,
ages.
so does that give you enough of an idea of how you can edit? And of course, by zooming in and being able to see it, it's really quite simple to do editing.
So can
Yes.
you go back to the original because you decided that you take out too much?
There is an undo button. Under File,
It's under edit.
it's under Edit, thank you. There you go. See the undo button at the very top? If I hit that, and then I can hit undo. I can go undo a lot of stuff. However, years of production, where's my production hat, have taught me that before I really do anything to the original, when it's digital, make a copy. And then it doesn't matter. It takes all the pressure in the world off of you. Okay. So, who wants to start their first recording? Let's do a podcast. Kim?
No, I don't want to. I want to. So when you're saving this, is it like getting a document under file saved somehow, or does it automatically save what you're doing?
Okay, if I close, do you see where it says recording number 30? By the way, this thing adds, apparently I've done 30 recordings, the next one will be 31. Because that's in red, it's not saved. I'm going to hit the X button right up here on that row. It says, would you like to save the recording? And the answer is yes.
And at some point, can you rename it?
And I'm going to take you there right now. As soon as it does, it takes a second for it to do it.
If you were trying to save a 40-minute gag,
Go get a cup of coffee.
yeah, it could take 5 or 7 minutes.
It will take a few minutes, yeah. I don't really know why this is taking so long, because it's not normally this fast, but that's shorter. Okay, now you notice that it turned, okay. First of all, it put it away. This is not the file that I was working on. Practice music audio only. It's not the one you're working on. How do I get back to where my list is of my recordings? How about list in the upper left-hand corner? Okay. Recording 30 is now at the bottom. It's no longer red, so I know that that one has been saved. And if I hit the little blue arrow on the right-hand side, by the way, this one is 588 kilobytes, so it's not very big. It's now going to load it, and it loads pretty fast, and there it is. Okay, so now if I wanted to edit this, and I didn't want to mess up, I would do a save as, and I could create another. It says copy of recording, and you can go in here and you can actually rename it. Okay. But your question, Kim, was let's do cancel. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to hit cancel. Sorry. Stop. Okay, let's go in here to the original recording, and I just tapped in it like you do with anything else. And I'm going to go back and we're going to call this practice. How do you suppose I save it?
Done?
Done. It took me a while to figure that out. I kept renaming it. I kept renaming it. It is done.
Where is it going?
On the keyboard where enter is.
You want me to do that again?
Oh, I didn't see that.
So on the keyboard. Done on the keyboard.
There's a Bluetooth that's entered.
That's an important gotcha that it took me a couple of tries to figure out.
So, this.
Now there are lots of other things that, by the way, you can get information in here. I just hit the I in the lower right-hand corner. Pocket WavePad help. There's they have related software, and we may or may not get to that today because there are some other things that you can get for free that allow you to even be more creative with your editing. So let's turn you loose. I want you to come up with 3 topics and pick one of those 3 topics and make a recording. Did you get an email from Eric? He wasn't including us. Did anybody get the email that said bring headsets or earbuds? Maybe he didn't send it.
Something's wrong with my email.
We didn't get any information about what we're supposed to read for this session.
Not for this session.
Not for this one? Did you for others during the week?
No.
During the
I told you what to download, but not what to read.
Really?
Class readings.
Well, I'll have to have words with him
Yeah,
about
right.
that.
Well, we got the flipped class readings.
Yeah.
If that's what you're talking about for this, then yeah, we got those, but it was,
That's
But
all.
you should have
that
gotten,
was for everybody.
for Wednesday, you would get a file that had everything for everybody, whether you were taking that or not, is my understanding.
Not hooked to your producing list.
Oh, well. What can I say? He's my boss, and this is being recorded, so I better. Anyway, it's no big deal. The two articles are listed in the Dropbox under podcasting, as well as the 1.5 minute, 1 minute and 20 second welcome that I sent to you. Okay, so it's your turn to shine, and I will wander around the room and answer questions. And then after that, we'll come back and do some more training.
These topics? And then pick one. Each of us have that. Let's cut the basics. What was the reference here?
Exquisite corpse.
Absolutely.
Yes, they're very intuitive, like, hold it down so you
I can
know.
put in my own voice and say,
Or you can go with like poetry or literature.
So actually, this tool, is so good.
oh yeah, either way, either way. Well, like this, just talking about what's gonna be on
Nikki's gonna run away. Let's all talk.
When you go, when I have to go out and in,
Although there's
you'll find most all of them will be there. And they're well produced, they're studio quality. But technically, podcasts,
Well, there were students, they didn't take 111. This class, we're gonna describe this.
Yeah, what did, I mean, what's different?
it's another tool that is going to allow you to create a series of
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
education. This is strictly audio. Well, I heard video.
They did say video, and I meant audio, so.
What is the kind of the next
Well, what that article will tell you, and what we heard this morning, is that when I was in graduate school in '77, we said 12 minutes. Well, now people are telling me that you want to keep students' attention to 3 to 5 minutes. But you can do multiple 3 to 5 minutes. So, I mean, if you're really doing exam review, it might be. I've got 3 questions I know they're going to have trouble with. I'll do those 3 in one, and then I'll answer them. So you can give, but if you're going to give them an hour's worth of it, I don't know. Was I supposed to turn
That's
down?
good to read it and figure out what you think about that.
No, it is recorded.
There were also women in the Beat Generation,
Where's the
but
one?
often they were sort of overlooked and
You
used.
work best alone.
Is there a volume meter on this one here?
For recording?
Well, I believe it registered on the,
It's actually,
so
oh, you're not hearing that.
I'm not going to back up my switch, my flip switch is without orientation, so.
Flash little toggle switch.
and just
Yeah, we just keep it.
yeah,
That's why I had earbuds.
I see some real the explain everything would be more for a full lecture. Yeah, more for a full lecture kind of
Okay.
So you now can play.
Judy,
I have a question. Is there,
when you finish recording, you
Because
play
I'm
back
a, I
and
also
say,
am a
okay.
And a lot of people that I work with, especially have issues because they just
I want to save it
oh,
before.
all the time, or they say, and to get them to see it, I've used Audacity, GarageBand.
You come back to my notes to figure out what
But
to
you know
do.
that you have.
Oh, it's just
This is
recording
the
the
exam one, exam one.
So you can see almost like a movie.
No,
All of the lectures, readings,
it's generally everything I've ever worked with at Digital
in this course.
I mean, we're ready to go.
Oh, yeah, this has got, we've got effects, you can play backwards, you can do echo in here, there's all kinds of things.
But I want somebody to look after this and go, this is great. You know,
They can kind of tell if you're raising the pitch. I mean,
then it usually goes
it goes
with
up.
volume.
But
Yeah, no, it's.
start just.
Okay.
how do you see it? The way, when is it there?
Okay, so now, have you saved it?
No, I don't think I have. I don't think. Was that in the hall?
Research.
Oh, you were about to. Okay, let's see. Done. No. Well, yeah, if you want to see this. So here is your raw footage, your raw audio. And you open it here, and it loads it, so now you see it. That was your question? How do you see the audio?
Yeah, and then I'll
Then
say
you get it back. Oh, well, it's if you want to save it, then go to close here on the next button. It should save.
Oh, it's safe, as long as it's not red.
Yep.
So it just saves itself automatically.
Yeah.
rather than doing it.
Right. It usually does when you stop.
Okay, which means look at it again.
That button right there. And then loads it. And then, of course, to hear it from the beginning, you hit the rewind button. Or if you get to the end, you go that direction. And then you can start playing it.
I have 3.
You'll remember ID.
You learn, actually, when I learned to edit in the 70s, we edit on brass. Make it natural. You don't cut brass out.
Oh, you don't shut it.
How do you get it? This is green again.
See, it's kind of like this is your menu list.
Sounds good.
So, okay, this would be the
And then
meeting,
how did you
correct?
play?
Or
Actually, but you're operating to delete, so you want to get that. So now to, this is the one you want to rename. So hit here to open it. And now, now go in and just,
and then it was, like, it,
that's your.
Mine was grayed out, so I could.
Somebody had to show me.
So let's edit that out. Oh, why's yours grayed out?
Maybe I have to simplify it.
oh, it's already blocked.
So, oops, wrong lesson. So you just hit recording and get your call. Right. So that time you can go ahead
And rename.
and there's some keyboard comes up when you save it. Keyboard becomes.
Because I'm linked to this.
Oh. So enter.
Yeah, that's right, that goes together.
Now, it's not saved yet because it's red.
Yeah.
So now what you want to do is either go to the list.
People really like to see stuff.
It'll come.
Then it turns green. Where the recording too.
And if you don't like, if you've got an extra one, now you, that means you have not recorded anything to, so you can just start by hitting record.
Right. if I wanted to mess around with editing the first one, where it's got those
Go
lists,
to
right?
the list.
Pretty sure.
And then it's after the first one.
Yeah,
And you can go,
I mean, he's.
This will be a closed book exam. And
we're doing
I'm
what?
trying to see.
Yeah, because you can see what you're working with, the spaces, and it's bigger, I got that, see, this is the short set, so
This I've seen in, you know, digital recording studio console type thing. Same.
it's
At least
so common to me, it's visually
familiar,
familiar.
and I've never used them.
What I don't like is that I intuitively wanted to have one for the front and back, but it doesn't, it just says
Searching for you.
I go to the error, the start of the good stuff, scrub backwards.
Oh, because it won't go.
Yes, I think it's right. The handles will be there.
How do you,
So,
because I haven't found it yet.
for you,
You're supposed to make a podcast.
And I don't have
Oh.
anything to do that.
You left it.
Say you were on the thing and you recorded something over here and you want to put it. How do you?
So that would be, well, let's just do is check here.
Yeah.
From the US.
Oh, and then paste. So small.
And then down, we're going to just hit this to all the way to the front.
Right.
And then hit edit.
Or put it wherever I
Or
want.
wherever
Right?
you want.
So how do I lose
And
It's so
paste it,
small.
it turns white. So that's what it is now. And of course you can hit undo,
Great, so then you.
but I never finished my sentence, did I? So what you do want to do is you're going to do a lot of editing, make a copy,
Yes.
and then work on editing your copy, and then when you're done, rename it and save it.
Okay.
Mine's 40.
I get carried away.
Like, is that the same as discourage it?
I think that's another way to undo, but I've never played with it.
Because I was looking for that to do.
So, yeah, so apparently it just makes it go right back to where it
She didn't either.
How are we doing? Everybody done at least one recording? Has anybody not done editing on that recording? All right, good. So let's move on with the most important thing in the world. Did everybody figure out how to save it? Okay. And now we want to send it.
I'm going to lose editing.
So
Have you clicked this?
I mean, stuff that's really hard.
because when it's red, it's not safe.
okay, remember if there's red where it said practice in red on mine, it's not saved, so I'm now going to save it.
How did you say it again? X?
I hit the X in the row next to the name on the far right. And so I've saved it, and that's going to activate the little email button in the bottom middle.
It didn't actually
It will when it finishes saving. If it's better, it's going to make a line. It's going to make a liar out of it? Yours didn't, but mine did. So what I meant, see the email in the bottom, middle, down here?
Yes.
This is now not grayed out, but this is active, it's white. Everybody there, I want you to get a file open and have that active. You've saved it, your title is green.
Shortcut, if you just hit save as or something, or
You can also do save as. That will work. But now that email envelope is white, go ahead and touch it. And it says you have two choices. You can, well, three. You can email it, you can FTP it, and most of us are not set up for FTP, so email is a good choice. So if you hit email, and it knows that I'm bcottle@boisestate.edu, and it puts this other information in there. The subject of my video was practice music, audio only. You'll notice that there's a QuickTime emblem right here. This was one that I did the other day, and it was in a WAV format. Yours probably should say MP3, does it?
What's practice about giving permission for a wave?
It says wave PCM.
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't pick MP3 or.
Yeah, if we
Oh, you
get
have
that,
to take that for
well,
every
no, it
recording.
should stay in there, yeah.
It says
You're set to stop wave too.
I know, this was one I did the other day, because what happens when you close a file, it pulls the next one open if you're in the middle, and so, this one you see is practice music audio only. This isn't the one I was doing a minute ago, but I thought, oh, I'm not going to tell them, I'll just move forward. Anyway, the send button in the upper right hand corner, hit send, and notice that you'll hear a little chime.
Accused, really.
Because you have no other way of knowing that it's going in. It's a swoosh. Yeah, did you hear a swoosh?
Mine did the swoosh.
Yeah, maybe I didn't hear mine because although it's plugged in, you should have all heard of it.
If I try and select the email, it just does the first two letters.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to type
it's
it
not-
fully in.
Yeah.
There's no.
Okay, now, really important, aha. Okay, go ahead, everybody go ahead and let's go to email again, the same one you got. And let's just pretend that we're going to send it to a carbon copy to yourself. Okay, I'm going to, in the CC, if you follow what I'm doing, I'm going to put BC, and it pulls up my work email for BCOL at Boise State. Now, intuitively, one would think that if I hit that, it's going to send that there. But guess what it left me with? BC. This is a feature in many applications. It's features because I don't know why they do it, but if you were to send this to all your students, you'd want to have those names already in here. I think what I would do if I was going to send to all my students is email it to myself where I know I've already got them all in my email and I forward it. Okay? So really, the only place you want to try to email this is to yourself, because otherwise you've got to type it in perfectly correct, and then it will remember it. All right. How are we doing for time? We go till 4, right?
And then once it's done, it's supposed to be ready to set.
I need to find out what else I was going to do here. So, hang on.
They wanted you to present.
Okay, so we're doing good.
Because I do.
Wow.
So before I move to anything else, let's make sure everybody's up to speed. Everybody is comfortable recording a podcast. The notion of actually transcribing and writing down some cheat sheets so that you got something to read from and it makes sense from accessibility issues down the road. If you're going to do a lot of editing, and again, we don't encourage you to necessarily feel like you should do a lot of editing. You know, we speak and make mistakes when we speak. However, if you want something to really be very perfect, then you can go in and spend the time editing. What else would you like to be able to do with these podcasts?
Get rich.
Get rich. That's possible. Nick, are you the only person on earth that knows everything about your discipline the way you know it?
Well, with that final caveat, yes, that's true.
So all you got to do is find that audience out there. You can publish and do podcasts, and people will want to just flock to your RSS feed. I'm sorry.
We in the
Give
history
Nick about
department are
that.
used to that already, Bill, so.
Oh, okay.
All the paparazzi, all the time.
All right, your next assignment, then, everybody's comfortable with this stage. There's other things you can do, but if you go down to the eye icon and Pocket Wave related software, it opens up the web. And they have some other applications that allow you to actually add music and other things. Which one was the one I did? There was one called Mix and Match, or Mix and something. I don't see it. It popped up the minute I did it the other day, so I played with it and went ahead and recorded one that had music. So you can do something like this. It plays. So this is a test to see if I can determine how I can record
a narration for a podcast and then turn around and add music underneath to segue an introduction and conclusion.
So you added the music after you recorded it?
With another product they have that's free. But
Mixpad?
that's above and beyond. If you get into doing a series, a lot of times you'll see that people will have what we call a sting and a tag of music. It's sometimes the same piece of music. And a simple way to do a workaround is just to simply put your favorite piece of that kind of music in your boom box and just turn it up, and then as you start to record, turn it down. And let it blend underneath, and then when you're done, at the end, turn it up. End of discussion. Easy to do. All right. And I realized that I had done all of this off of the laptop, so let me think here for a minute, regroup. It's not Boise State I want, so. Okay, Latana did this for me earlier, but it's part of what I wanted to cover, so let's just do it very briefly. How do we get into Boise State at iTunes U?
Good question.
Okay? We're on Academic Technology's homepage, Boise State on iTunes U. So I've clicked that link. By the way, this is the login is simply your Bronco user ID and password. But on this first page, there's a number of things that I wanted to point out to you. There's some good tips under getting started. The research and pedagogy also has some of the similar things that were in the PowerPoint presentation. By the way, Eric Orton authored that presentation and gave it. I don't know if any of you were there when he did it a few years ago, but that's what I called upon real quickly. I'm going to hit Getting Started. So I've now gone to the second page down in our website, and it talks in here about your responsibilities as faculty if we give you your own iTunes U at Boise State page. So Latana said that they have some in respiratory care, and there are a number in education and others that have got a presence where they have regular podcasts that they're putting up there for their students on that source. You need to read through the verbiage here. Basically, when you click on Request a Page, this is your document that you'll fill your name and ID number, and then when you finish signing at the bottom, you're going to either fax it to Eric Orton or send it to AdTech, which happens to be Eric Orton. So again, this is on the page, and it's just listed as Request for a Page on Boise State on iTunes U. Pretty straightforward.
What does that mean, as a page?
It means you have your own space. Let me.
And they own. Okay.
Hey, there's no tab key. So what I did, I just logged into Boise State at iTunes. Okay, so here we're now out there in that wonderful world called iTunes U at Boise State University. So we have Dr. Custer's Beyond the Blue, and then the academic units. We've got Applied Technology, Chemistry, and Biochemistry. So these are the colleges that have hosted a podcast series.
Anybody has access to that, so only one have
So you can see right here, we created one for the Teaching and Learning in a Mobile Environment Summer Institute. And so if anybody were posting sessions, and I believe they will be, there they are. Those are the sessions that we've been trying to record. And so here's one way that you can access them. Okay, so you notice the little icon over here? This means it's got video. When you don't see that icon, it's strictly an audio podcast. Okay? So I'm going to go back I see some, either you're straining to see or I've lost you. So I'm going to go back to where I was. Under all of those options that you have, there is one under faculty and staff development called Boise State University, Teaching and Learning, a Mobile Environment. That's us. And under session recordings, there's two choices, is everything that we have done, that we've been recording for the last 3 days. But if you go to Other Institute Podcasts, guess what? There I am. Pocket Wave, and welcome. 1 minute, 20 seconds, and it's free. Now, how do I get that? Hit free. Hit download. Down at the bottom, I've got downloads, one download. Processing, processing, processing. Any questions about how to set up an iTunes U account if you desire to do so?
If your department was already listed there, do you?
Find out who hosts it, and then you can, and they can actually go ahead and subscribe your sessions, or you can ask for your own. It depends on how many you're doing.
You could just post it to your Blackboard site and not have to.
Okay, and remember the other ways we can do it is you can put it right in Blackboard. Now, what's good about Blackboard is it is private. Only your students that are enrolled in your class are going to be able to access that.
Because this way everybody in the world.
That's correct.
And then you get that Stanford guy that was now because he's paid.
Yes. And of course, Nick wouldn't get any royalties because these are free.
So in the, when you're in the, when I'm looking at the list of teaching and learning in a mobile environment, Summer Institute 2012, is there a way to subscribe to those and be able to get updates in my iTunes or my iTunes?
If it has an RSS button that lets you do that, you can.
Okay, and I don't see one. So.
And so probably some of them do and some of them don't.
So like I'm looking specifically at the teaching and learning in a mobile environment.
Why will it not let me out of here?
Teaching and Learning or Summer Institute. And what are you after?
I was wondering how I could subscribe so that I can
Okay,
get
there
your
it was. By the way, it's a little hat on the bottom that says iTunes U when you want to get unstuck. All right, so go back to where?
Oh, iTunes U.
Which one were you looking
The
at?
Summer Institute ones.
Oh, the Summer Institute. You
Yeah.
probably haven't set it up so that there's feeds. Good question. You're asking one that hadn't popped into my mind.
So that you don't have to hit free, but just have it.
Right. Where did it go?
To the back.
Where am I? Huh. That's odd.
Twice. I got it twice.
Okay, here we go. Whoops.
So if you put an academic technology and say it here.
You know, like if you send it to there, or like he said, send it to your site before it got there.
No.
Normally, where that would be, Leslie, is right up here next to the logo,
Okay.
would be a subscribe. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
And you hit subscribe and then it will.
So can you make that happen?
I'll make that suggestion. In fact, put it in your notes to us too, because I won't forget that way. Good idea. Well, of course, it'll end after Friday, so.
Right, but it's still good that it would download all at once instead of us having to get it.
And you can just, usually there's a get all, there's a subscribe and a get all. And if you hit get all, subscribe means anything we add after you hit get all. But if it's Friday after Friday, then just get all. And then they'd all be there. Okay. How many were in the video session where we created a YouTube account? Good. Most of you weren't. All you need to do is just go out and try at home to get a YouTube account. We were having incredible problems with it not liking us being on the Boise State campus. We're not sure exactly why, but we could not. A couple were able to create a YouTube account. It's really easy to do. Use your B as be coddled at Boise State, and then that way you can get into YouTube. But for right now, I want you to go to the icon that's got the cap, iTunes U, which will take you to an empty bookshelf for a few minutes while it loads. And these are things that I have happened to have loaded just in playing around. So if you want to go to the catalog, first of all, let's have everybody get here. Is everybody with me?
When it says notepad to push notifications, do you usually select Colorado or?
That may be one of the solutions we were finding the last hour. Say yes, because what you want, it's trying to determine where you are. And so if it knows you're at Boise State, maybe that's part of why we were having trouble earlier. I don't know. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things.
Then it asks you to sync.
Okay, so go ahead and hit sync.
And I can view, it doesn't have YouTube.
No, I skipped over YouTube. We're not doing YouTube. We're going to iTunes U now. Because what I want to help you do is the research for where you can get ideas for other things that you might want to go, oh, that's a good idea. So is everybody here?
It doesn't look like that.
We have empty.
Mine's empty.
Yours will be an empty bookshelf. Okay? Go to catalog in the upper left-hand corner. And now, oh, I'm glad he came up. He came up earlier today. General chemistry, that ought to appeal to my granddaughter until she goes in there and looks at what the content is. Let's see what that content is. I clicked on that. And it says, this general chemistry course covers the first 9 chapters of this edition of Chemistry is Central Science. And I think that things like Introduction to Matter and Measurement, Atoms, Molecules, and Ions is a little above my granddaughter's age. But she would have stumbled on this and thought that was pretty cool. Okay, underneath the banner that's changing are 3 boxes: universities and colleges, beyond campus, and K-12. Obviously, we want to look at, well, maybe not obviously, I'm going to look at universities and colleges. And I can pick any college that I may know that's a subject matter expert in my field. So let's just take the Art Institute. And here are some categories of featured programs: Chinese cuisine, Korean cuisine. Let's see what's notable. Under culinary arts, I want to learn about butchery. Now, you'll notice all of these icons have video indications. And so as I was mentioning earlier, I mean, yes, a podcast is normally considered audio. Is that me? Yes. But you will find that some of them, the majority of them rather, have video. So again, as it pops up, develop and hone your butchery skills with this series of basic butchery and cooking techniques. And if I want to subscribe to all of them, I'm going to hit that subscribe free. And if I want to get just the French omelet, I'm going to hit the free and get the video. So if I hit get video, it's going to then download it, and when I sync my iPad at my office, it will feed it to the device.
You can't watch it on
No, they need to, they don't download directly. At least I haven't found them to work very well that way. So no.
And is the video like what we did in the last
I mean, we can try that one, but I don't think it's going to do it. It'll probably make a liar on it. It says downloading, but what it's downloading to is your account when you plug your device in. Bill, were you raising your hand to hear or to? Okay. Other questions? So what I want you to do is take a few minutes here that remain, or right up till the end, and look for some content out there in your discipline. And read the descriptions, and then maybe pick one of them to listen or look at later. And
So are the video podcasts just like what we were doing last session with the iMovie or the
Are the what?
The video podcasts, are those just one of the iMovies or the explain everything videos? Is that the same thing?
It's not the exact same product, but it will look the same. Yeah, I mean, anything that you put will show up in your bookshelf.
Now, see, it's already got butchery, but I don't believe, and let's see, maybe it will. Ah. There's your music scene.
In this segment, I'm going to demonstrate a type of stirred, sautéed omelet, which is called a French omelet. There are many different kinds of omelets, the most prominent ones being the French. And
So it did work. Now, I tried that the other day and it didn't, so I'm not sure why. And if you don't like that, you can get rid of it. So take a few minutes and do a little bit of research. And actually, if it downloads, then you might be able to listen to it in section one of them.
This recipe is for Schnitzler.
Did you go to cuisine too, or what? Sounds like food. And sometimes the descriptions that they write for the content are very helpful, and other times they're very minimal.
This is cool stuff.
I thought that sounded like a lot more fun than trying to do something too cerebral.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, National
Kid library. Yeah. To get back out of the library, there's a catalog button, and remember that.
This is just cool stuff.
You will find PDF files and other resources as well. Is that what you're just observing?
It's just, yeah, there's that one, but if you keep going down, there's, if you just type in National Archives.
Yes.
And then, so if you go to the provider page, and then, thank you.
Just have to sit around and listen to lectures. This is just cool.
Can you search by the name of the person who delivered the lecture? If you know of a particular
I don't know.
expert on
That's a
something?
great question. Try it if in the search field. Yeah, try it. Let us know what you discover.
I was just looking at that one.
The NARA has podcasts with Charters of American Freedom, Articles of Confederation, Treaty of Paris, Bill of Rights, Emancipation Proclamation.
You certainly can do that on YouTube. You know, if you know a person's name and a subject, you can put Bill Toggle dash, I don't know, Boise. You don't have anything out there. Or, you know, instructional assignment. Yeah, it's amazing what you find in these. Did it search? Did you search?
I just read it with her name. She does that speaking of faith or whatever. And so these are all different. She's an NPR. She's got an NPR show.
Great.
So again, we learned here that if you want to search a person's name, an author or someone that does an NPR show, search in the search field.
Ooh, or the title of the show.
So you can narrow your search down by finding more information and then go for that.
Let me just, okay, free. Not necessarily. Oh, it's just, okay. Oh, it's the EPA. Oh, interesting.
Smithsonian National Political American Frontier. Make your own stereo.
That would be state stereotype. That too.
I think that's it. Photographic portraits from America.
So can you pull out portions of these, did you find
That's
the
the
portions that I'm finding?
Secret.
And put them in your Blackboard site?
You would want to
Permission?
request permission. Yeah. And you definitely can't edit, shouldn't edit them without nobody. Yeah. But you know, a lot of times, I mean, they're out there and they're free anyway, so just getting permission to do so is, it's a no-brainer. I mean, ask, there's two answers to most questions, yes or no.
So do you generally contact the university that they're from?
Yeah, you know the university, you know the author's name, the lecturer, just to, go to their home page and look under directory and see if you can find a way to get in touch with them.
Oh, with the authors?
Yeah, because usually the author's name is right there on the first slate. Yeah, it'll tell you who's the instructor. And sometimes in the descriptions you may find some reference to it being totally free, and I've seen a couple of them. Yeah. So if they already give it to you, then you're fine. But if not, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I think if it was your content, you'd be tickled to get an email from Boise State University saying, can I use this particular lecture that really fits nicely. I mean, it's like bringing a guest presenter into your class. Well, let's take a minute or two just before we wrap things up. Anybody want to share an aha that happened in the last few minutes as you were searching for content? Nancy had one which we kind of shared as we were on the fly. She wanted to know a specific author, if she could find that person, and typed it in the search field. And sure enough, there were a bunch of them, right?
Sorry, I'm
Specifically, they know this existed.
Isn't that amazing what's out there? Yeah. Like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. I mean, I'm not saying you plagiarize. I'm talking, see how somebody else solves the same teaching dilemma. Was there a question back here?
No, I was so engrossed in looking at things, I didn't hear what you'd asked.
Oh, I just asked for an aha.
Oh,
What did your table come up with? Anything exciting to share with the group?
so many things.
So many things, good.
And the National Archives and Records Administration has a lot of podcasts on a variety of things in it from its collection, so that's really pretty cool.
Okay, well, our final activity as we approach the bewitching hour is typical, using your iPad. Complete the evaluation form under this workshop on the schedule. And then be sure to continue, and I hope that you're going for those extra free apps by turning in your course constructive alignment plan. It was very subtle mention, but the sooner they're in, the sooner you get it. I don't know. I don't think we defined that. Did we go slow enough? Was this